He bet on himself to get into college. To stay in, he had to learn to bet against everyone else. Liam wasn't just another bright-eyed freshman at a prestigious university. He was a scholarship kid, a statistical anomaly from a forgotten part of town. His tuition was covered, but the books, the food, the simple cost of existing in a world he wasn't born into felt like an insurmountable wall. He worked 2 part-time jobs, his nights bleeding into his mornings, his grades starting to slip under the weight of exhaustion. The first tuition bill for the next semester arrived like a death sentence. $3,000. It might as well have been $3 million. Desperation led him down a path he never imagined. A whisper in the student lounge, a hushed conversation about a friendly game with serious stakes. It wasn't friendly, and it wasn't just a game. It was in a smoke-filled basement off campus, a world away from ivy-covered walls. The air was thick with tension and cheap cologne. Liam watched, his heart pounding a frantic rhythm against his ribs. He only had $200 to his name, meant for groceries for the month. But watching the cards, he saw something else. He saw patterns. He saw tells. He saw fear and greed in the eyes of men twice his age. With a deep breath that didn't fill his lungs, he sat down. That first night was a blur of adrenaline. He played tight, conservative, letting the bigger egos clash. He folded more than he played, but when he did play, he was calculated. He walked out at 4 a.m., his pockets heavy with $900. It felt like a miracle. It felt like a solution. The next week, he was back. He'd spent the days devouring books on probability, on tells, on the mathematics of the game. He wasn't just gambling, he was studying. His second big win came from pure observation. A flashy real estate developer, a regular at the game, had a tell so obvious it was almost comical. Whenever he was bluffing, he'd rub the side of his nose. For 2 hours, Liam watched, tested his theory with small pots, and confirmed it. Then came the big hand. Liam was holding a decent pair, nothing spectacular. The developer went all in, a mountain of chips pushed to the center of the table. The nose rub. It was there. Subtle, but there. Everyone else folded. Liam, with sweat beading on his forehead, called the bet. The developer's face fell as he revealed a losing hand. Liam raked in a pot worth over $5,000. Tuition was paid. For a moment, he felt invincible. He started lying. To his roommate, he was at the library. To his girlfriend, Sarah, he was working late. The lies came easy, coated in the relief of financial security. He bought Sarah a necklace she'd been admiring, took his friends out for dinner, and upgraded his laptop. The money was a balm, soothing the guilt that gnawed at him. He told himself it was temporary, just until he was back on his feet. But the game had its hooks in him. It wasn't just about the money anymore. It was about the rush, the feeling of outsmarting a room full of sharks. He refined his skills, focusing on card counting, a dangerous art in these circles. One night, he tracked the deck with perfect precision. He knew an abundance of high cards were left. As the betting escalated, he calmly pushed his chips forward, his mind a silent, whirring calculator. The dealer laid down the river card. It was a king. Liam's full house crushed his opponent's flush. The table fell silent. He had just won a pot worth nearly $20,000. He saw admiration in some eyes, but in others, something much colder. Envy, suspicion. The glamour began to fade, replaced by a darker reality. He started hanging out with a player named Marco, a smooth talker with a reputation for trouble. Marco convinced Liam to come to a private, high-roller game in a warehouse district. The players here weren't just wealthy, they were dangerous. The air wasn't filled with cigar smoke, but with raw menace. Liam felt out of his depth. Marco, who had borrowed a few thousand from Liam with a promise to pay it back after the game, played recklessly. He got into a heated argument with a hulking man covered in tattoos. The argument escalated. A table was flipped. A punch was thrown. In the ensuing chaos, someone grabbed Liam's winnings off the table. He stumbled out into the night, bruised, terrified, and $10,000 poorer. Marco was nowhere to be found. The loss was a brutal wake-up call, but the debt he now carried was worse. He'd borrowed from another player to cover his initial buy-in for that disastrous game. Now he was on the hook. He had to win it back. He returned to the old game, but his nerve was shot. He played erratically, chasing losses, making mistakes he hadn't made since his first night. The money dwindled. Sarah started asking questions he couldn't answer. His friends noticed his gaunt face and the dark circles under his eyes. He He was a ghost haunting his own life, the classroom a distant memory, the poker table his only reality. He needed one more big score, just one, to clear his debts and get out for good. He heard about a game, the biggest one he'd ever been invited to. The host was a man known only as the Serpent, a notorious loan shark who ran the city's underground circuit. The buy-in was $50,000. Liam didn't have it, so he did the unthinkable. He went to the Serpent and asked for a stake. The man's eyes, cold and reptilian, studied him. He agreed, but the terms were chilling. Win, and Liam would pay him back double. Lose, and the debt would be collateralized. The game was in the penthouse of a skyscraper, a panoramic view of the city lights mocking Liam's dark world. The cards were dealt. Hours crawled by. The chips moved back and forth. Liam played the game of his life, his focus absolute. It all came down to a final hand. Liam against the Serpent himself. The pot was enormous, enough to change his life or end it. Liam held 2 aces. Pre-flop, it was the best hand in poker. He bet strong. The Serpent called. The flop came. Ace, king, queen. Liam had 3 of a kind. A monster hand. He could barely contain his shaking hands. He let the Serpent lead the betting, feigning weakness. The turn card was a 10. The final card, the river, was a jack. A straight on the board. Liam's heart stopped. His 3 aces were now worthless against a straight. But who could have a jack 10? The Serpent looked at him, a slow, cruel smile spreading across his face. He pushed his entire stack of chips into the middle. All in, he hissed. Liam's mind raced. Was he bluffing? Could he have the one hand that beat him? Liam looked at his own dwindling chips. He was pot committed. Folding wasn't an option. He was already destroyed. With a sense of grim finality, he pushed his remaining chips forward. Call. The Serpent slowly turned over his cards. A jack and a 10. He had the straight. Liam stared, numb, as the mountain of chips, his future, his freedom, was swept away from him. The room was silent. He had lost everything. The Serpent stood up and walked over to Liam, placing a heavy hand on his shoulder. His voice was a low whisper, colder than the grave. "The money is gone," he said, his smile never wavering. "But a debt is a debt. And a bright young man like you, you have other things of value. You have a brilliant mind, and you have a very lovely girlfriend. I'll be in touch to discuss which one I'll be taking as collateral." What happens next to Liam? We'll continue his story in the next video. If you're captivated by this tale and want to find out his fate, make sure you hit that like button, share this video with your friends, and most importantly, subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next chapter. Thanks for watching.